In this video, we'll provide a sample mock test for you to practice at home, and there will also be sample answers that you can view to help you improve. So the two videos will be separate, but it'll be easy to find both of them. Can you fix things? I wouldn't exactly call myself a handyman, but if something really needs fixing, I usually find a way. I'm thinking of basic household items like light fixtures, furniture, and electronics. Anything more complex, like a car, and I need to call in professional help. Did anybody teach you to fix things when you were a child? My grandfather had a workshop at his house, and every summer he would show us how to do basic woodworking and repairs. Typically it was furniture, like fixing a broken chair or table, things like that. Do you think it's necessary for people to learn to fix things? I don't think of it as necessary, but some basic skills go a long way. Of course, it's easy to hire help for small projects, but you can save time and money if you're able to do it yourself. What do you do when a thing is broken and cannot be fixed? I think sometimes we have to admit that certain things are beyond repair. I had a laptop a few years ago that was quite old. I really liked it, but it had a range of problems that were getting harder and harder to fix. Eventually, it was time for a new one. The water sport I will talk about is long-distance rafting. I first became interested in this sport when I saw a documentary. I think it was called Around the Bend, which follows two guys who attempt to travel from India to Bangladesh along the Ganges River. Not all rafting trips are as long and complex as the one in the film. As I understand, most people take shorter trips, maybe a few days to a week. If there's not much of a current in the river, you might need to do quite a bit of work to paddle the boat. But if the current is strong, parts of the journey can be significantly easier. The natural flow of the water will power you forward, and all you need to do is steer the boat. I've never been rafting at all, so I'd like to start with something achievable, maybe just a few days. My country has a lot of famous whitewater rafting locations, but these aren't really what I'm looking for. I actually want to have to paddle the boat, so I'm hoping for calmer waters. Ideally, I'd bring one friend along for the trip and we'd camp along the river. For a specific location, I think I'd need to do a little more research. Part of the appeal is that it would be challenging. We'd need to plan appropriately and be able to take care of all of our food and drinks for at least a few days. We need to be prepared in case of injury or emergency. Physically, it would also be a challenge, especially if there isn't much of a current. We'd have to paddle for hours on end. I'm sure we'd be exhausted, but I think it would be fun. Rafting seems like a great way to spend quality time in nature. Just as importantly, to be mostly alone out on the water would really provide a sense of excitement and adventure. I imagine that we'd paddle as far down the river as we wanted, and then when we got tired, we'd set up camp and go to sleep. I'd love to get off the grid for a while. No phone, no emails, no news. It would be truly refreshing and rejuvenating. Hopefully, I'll find time soon. What are the advantages of water transportation? As I understand, water transport is more cost-effective than other methods such as rail or air. Ships, for instance, have a high carrying capacity, so the cost to ship each individual item is quite low. Ships move slowly, but in doing so, they must use less fuel than trucks, trains, or planes, which makes them more environmentally friendly. From the perspective of transporting people rather than goods, the same advantages would apply. It's cost-effective and fuel-efficient, and it would also provide a unique and either old-fashioned or luxury, in the case of a cruise, experience. Why do people like to live near the water? Historically, people settled near the water because it provided a mode of transportation and connection with other parts of the country or world. With air travel becoming so much more common, this isn't necessary now, but people still live by the water. One reason might be that it provides a nice backdrop for life. It's pleasing to look at, and it's also useful for recreation, either through water sports, swimming, boating, or just sitting on a beach. What kind of water sports are popular nowadays? People are always looking for new forms of recreation on the water. One sport that comes to mind as an example is paddleboarding. As I understand, a paddleboard is similar in shape to a surfboard, but larger and more stable. Rather than riding waves, as you would on a surfboard, people paddleboard on calmer waters. And as the name suggests, they use paddles or oars to move. I think people enjoy it because it's a challenge to balance and move. I have to imagine that it's also a really good whole body workout. So, fun, challenging, and good for fitness, it makes sense that it's popular. Do you think it's good to teach swimming in schools? Teaching swimming in schools is undoubtedly beneficial. Firstly, swimming is an important life skill that promotes water safety and reduces the risks of drowning incidents. By teaching swimming at a young age, schools can ensure children's safety and well-being around water. Secondly, swimming is an excellent form of exercise. It promotes muscle growth, cardiovascular health, and overall well-being. If it's taught in schools, young people will have one additional way to stay healthy, which must be a good thing. What do you think of people who waste water? I find it concerning when I notice people wasting water. It's a vital resource, so any waste will impact the environment and affect the availability of clean water for others. Such behavior disregards the value and importance of water conservation. I think sometimes people might waste water without being aware they're doing so. Thus, it's critical to raise awareness of the issues and encourage sustainable practices, such as fixing leaks, using water-efficient appliances, and adopting mindful water consumption habits. What are the characteristics of goods transported by water? Water transport is well suited for bulk or large-scale shipments due to the high carrying capacity of ships. Heavy or bulky goods, raw materials, machinery, and vehicles come to mind. Transportation on the water isn't fast, so the goods need to be able to sit in a container for weeks or months at a time. For this reason, plastic toys or blue jeans might be fine, while fresh tomatoes or heads of lettuce might go bad during transportation.